Welcome back, everybody, to the Off Base Sports Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jason Bednicki Critchlow, and once again, I'm joined by
Todd.
Man, Todd just does not bring it at all. But anyways, this week, much like last week, we'll be doing another top 10 list. We'll start with basketball movies this week. But just a quick reminder, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, CastBox, Satchel, Spotify. Love to hear your feedback. Also follow us on Off Base Sports Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The more social this is, the better it'll go. Doesn't always have to be just me tweeting with people about UFC fights. You can always talk to us about this stuff as well, and we can go from there. But like I said, we're going to kick off with another top 10 list. I think this is going to be a regular occurring segment, or kickoff segment. It seemed really to give us a good free-flowing conversation last week. And as always, I trounced Todd last week. I will again this week with top 10 lists. And
trounced me. How did we had 1 and 2 exactly the same, just different orders?
Well, because one is correct and one is not. So, as the returning loser of the top 10 list, you can also go first again.
Okay. Would you like to tell me what the top 10 list is, or?
I already told him it was top 10 basketball movies.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I did. Literally as I kicked off the show. I said we're going to do top 10 basketball movies this week.
All right. Well, the first one I have is Semi-Pro.
Not a bad movie. Made my honorable mention list. Didn't quite crack the top 10, which is surprising because it really got close down at the end because I was reshuffling my list quite a bit to put them in the order I thought I wanted them in. It's a hilarious movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to ask, what are you doing with your life? Please pause my podcast. I'm going to tell you this one time only.
No, he's not. He's going to tell you a couple times.
Pause my podcast, go watch Semi-Pro, and then come back. Because if your alternative for Will Ferrell movies right now is Watson and Holmes, which might be the worst movie ever made, you definitely need to go watch Semi-Pro, just to remind you how good and how funny he can be. So like I said, definitely made my honorable mentions. Didn't quite crack the top 10.
Okay.
My number 10 is one I know won't make your list because you've already told me you weren't a big fan of it. It was Love and Basketball.
No, not a fan of that one.
I thought it was a great movie. Again, basketball was a central theme. Obviously, the relationship between the two neighbors was central to all of it. I thought it was good.
I wouldn't have actually classified that much of a basketball movie. Basketball was in there. It was more of a love thing, love triangle with basketball in the two, but I wouldn't have really classified that as a basketball movie.
I mean, if that's not a basketball movie, I don't know what is. But let's move on to number 9.
Juwanna Mann.
Also in my honorable mentions. Love that movie. I could still watch it this day. It's hilarious. It's funny as all get out. Big fan of it. Huge fan. If you haven't seen it, again, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it. You've missed out on one of the funniest experiences that movies has to offer.
And told you it's not the first time he's going to tell you that.
I didn't tell you to pause and not
yeah, I know, but he said you said the second half of it. So
well, I still question what people do with their life if they haven't watched Juwanna Mann. I'm allowed to do that. I feel like I'm fully allowed to do that. But like I said, made my honorable mentions, not quite in my top 10. Number 9 for me was Glory Road. This list for me was tough to put some of the top ones in order. That was probably the toughest part. Is they're all. I don't feel like it's like baseball movies where there's a clear delineation. I felt like basketball movies were more lumped in for me. But Glory Road, obviously, an amazing story based on a true story. Of course, when you say based on, it's not 100% historically accurate. Let's be clear. But it's a great story. It's a great movie. I think everybody should watch it and get to understand that America was very, very different. Not that long ago, but it's not that different still.
I have it a little higher in my list, but I do have it on my list.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. Like I said, once I kind of got into this area, there was so much flip-flopping for me that it was like, this, here, well, maybe. And I snuck one up probably higher than it should be in terms of, like, if you're talking a pantheon of greatest basketball movies, but it's one if I'm going to rewatch. Again, I kind of base it on how much I would rewatch these. So one got bumped up a little higher for that. Number 8.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf also on my honorable mentions. So see, this is again going to be another one you lose soundly because then that means you're going to have missed some of the greatest basketball movies of all time.
My top 4, you're not going to be able. We might be able to change the orders a little bit into there, but my top 4, if you don't have those top 4, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
But obviously, you're missing a few of these movies that I'm going to be coming up with. Then, if you've knocked out 3 of my honorable mentions already, I mean, it's a great movie. It is. I think great's being generous there. It's a good movie. It's an entertaining movie. I mean, it's about a teen wolf.
Right.
The name tells you all you need to know. That was number 8 for you, correct?
Yes. Yes.
This one will be surprisingly low to some people based on the fact that we're based out of Indiana, but it's Hoosiers.
Ooh.
If I had to pick a basketball movie that's probably overrated in the Pantheon, it's Hoosiers. Another based on a true story, a little overdone, a little over the top. I feel like the real story was good enough that the added fake dramas that they added into it was unnecessary. And then I feel like it's just become one of those classic all-time go-to, well, this is back in the old days. So for me, it's a little over the top.
That's in my honorable mention list. So
Ooh.
it didn't make my top 10 because exactly what you said. I think it was overdone. Listening to you talk about that one yesterday pushed it down my list.
I still find it hard to put it below semi-pro Joanna Man or Teen Wolf. I'm just saying. I think you can't have a discussion of top 10 basketball movies without Hoosiers in it. But we'll see where you go here, because like I said, I think you're going to lose this list soundly again. Number 7.
Number 7's more of a guilty pleasure. I'm not even actually sure if you'll call it a basketball movie. Basketball.
Now, see, that's the one that I put up higher than you think I put it up, because it's that guilty of a pleasure for me. I have it on my list permanently of Netflix movies, so every time it comes back on, I can rewatch it. I have it at number 4.
Okay.
First off, that movie is one of the most hilarious movies ever put together. Second off, I use quotes from that movie still to this day, up to and including Playmate of the Year Victoria Silvstedt and Little Bitch and Squeak.
But I'm going to say, if you haven't seen this movie, then you have been living in Antarctica underneath the igloo with a penguin.
Agreed. It's an amazing movie. What you guys been doing since high school? Just hanging out playing Nintendo. Beer, cock. Great movie. Again, I think that's a little too low.
Okay.
For it. Number 7. Again, I ran into a cluster with these movies in trying to rate them, and I had to put Above the Rim at 7.
Ooh. Okay.
Really great basketball movie. Really awesome story about kind of the street ball tournament life, and it blended in some of other street life into it. It's got Tupac in it. What more do I have to say? Soundtrack was amazing. It gave us one of the all-time great songs ever out of it. I could have put it higher, but I feel like, again, there are movies I'm going to put ahead of it that barely eke out. Again, I literally was erasing and rewriting my top 10 many, many times to come up with a list.
It's on my honorable mention. It was number 10.
Oh,
but
you have the S and who? Oh, your basketball list is garbage now.
I don't think so. I think you missed a couple up top. I think you missed a few up top. We'll get there, but I think
you just got beat down. I think in a non-vote, I need to start putting out Twitter polls on our top 10 list and see, because you got beat down again. Soundly. What's your number 6? If
Blue Chips.
That was my last honorable mention.
Okay.
Again, it's a great movie on the seedy underworld of college basketball and the pressure that coaches are under. But I think in rewatching it it tries to paint these guys as sympathetic characters, the coaches particularly, as not as guilty as they are. Because if you go back and watch, they really do paint Nick, the character, the coach, as more of just a victim of circumstance than a willing participant in this scheme to pay these players.
Well, they're both. You have to win, or you're going to lose your multi-million-dollar job, and you know it's wrong, and you're willing to pay the player because you need to win to keep your multi-million-dollar job.
I understand, but I think they painted them too sympathetic. Like I said, it's a good movie. It covers a lot. I mean, it does not age as well, given that things have gotten even more ridiculous in the college basketball world with one and dones, and that was really before the straight to high school phenomenon even really kicked back off. So it's not aged as well as it could have. Would be my thing, and that was number 6 for you.
Yes,
I'm taking Finding Forrester.
Not on my list.
See, you're getting routinely beat down. Sean Connery as a shut-in author who gets brought back out by his basketball-playing youth who gets a scholarship to an elite prep academy. Great basketball movie. Yeah, helps tutor this kid and then has to leave his apartment for the first time in decades to go keep him from getting expelled from school. Sorry. It's a winner every time in my book.
Okay, well.
Sean Connery. That's all I got to say. Great movie. Number 5 for you.
Glory Road.
Okay. Again, I can't argue with that. It's, like I said, ordering these was harder than picking what I would say my top 10 were. I feel like I could say a clear step down, even at 10. I mean, I had Love and Basketball in and out of my honorable mentions. But I could say, from 9 down was one group and then 9 up was another.
Okay.
I went with Space Jam.
Okay.
I still watch it from time to time. I don't have to watch the whole thing. It's not one of those movies. At the end of the day, it didn't come through as very quotable. It didn't hang on. It's always going to be part of the cultural lexicon because you're going to show it to every young kid, coming up. Disney movies and those ilk have done a masterful job of making sure they age well because they're just generic. I mean, I guess there will come a point in a time where we have to remind kids that Michael Jordan did retire from basketball to play professional baseball, and air quotes around retire, by the way, to play professional baseball. But so that part will take a little explaining because they'll just hear about him as the GOAT and not understand what the rest of it is about. But no, I just feel like the 4 ahead of it were definitely 4 that I would watch more often than Space Jam.
I have on my list, it's a little higher, but we'll get to it. We'll see where I got it.
So number 4 for you?
Number 4 for me is Coach Carter.
Got that at number 2.
Okay.
So again, you're getting beat down here.
That's why I said our top 4 would be interchangeable where...
But obviously they're not, because I have basketball at 4 and you do not. You have it farther down.
Yeah.
Because you're just wrong.
It's a good movie. It's a really, 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 really good movie.
But Coach Carter's amazing to me. Again, it's another one of those. This is the thing you run into with basketball movies, probably more than any other sports movie that I found, is based on true stories. It tends to be a lot in basketball, and I feel like they clump onto that because it tends to involve inner city children and coaches and overcoming some sort of everything you look for in a movie script.
Right.
Characters you can build a story with and that the audience can get emotionally attached to, and an obstacle to overcome. Then they overcome it. Now, Coach Carter throws a couple of different obstacles at you, so it doesn't follow the traditional 3-act play, where instead it has a couple of those events occur that throws some things in there. So I liked it more than you did because it probably holds more to real life than some of the other movies do that hold on that, where it's like we're not giving you the 3-act script. No, there's actually many, many different obstacles we're overcoming with these group of kids in this kind of life. So number 4 for me was basketball.
Okay.
Number 3?
Number 3, I had Space Jam.
Again, mine's a little lower. Again, like I said, it was hard to find where I wanted to put them. I don't think I ever went higher than 4 with Space Jam, but 5 is where it settled in.
Okay.
Because I really did, like I said, my criteria is if I'm going to rewatch them again, kind of what order would I rewatch them in if I'm going to binge all day. So for me, number 3 was White Men Can't Jump.
Okay.
Still sometimes like to go out and rock the Billy Hoyle look, backwards hat, blue jean shorts, whatnot. Also, anytime I come into a little bit of a gambling win, I still talk about going to Sizzler. We going to Sizzler. We going to Sizz. I don't know if the Sizzler even exists anymore. If it does, please let me know. But I just used that phrase. It was also the very first R-rated movie I ever got to go see. At a way too young of an age to go see an R-rated movie, but I ain't complaining. It was mostly, again, it really was probably R-rated for all the wrong reasons. Because that movie really isn't that bad. But great movie. I'm going to guess that's probably your number 1 or number 2. But we'll see. So what's your number 2?
White Man Can't Jump.
Then we have the same number 1. Then.
We better have the same one, or one of us is not making it out of here.
But again, I think Coach Carter is something just a little bit better than White Man.
We need to go back to White Man Can't Jump, because if you have never seen this movie, I'm going to tell you to pause this, stop. You need to send Jason $20 for not seeing it, then go see it.
If you haven't seen any of the top 5, on my list for sure. You might want to just considering either A, you're blind, in which I apologize for making fun of you for not having seen them, or B, you need to reevaluate every decision you've made in your life and go watch them almost immediately. So, yeah, I mean, again, I have Coach Carter, too. I think it's just a little bit better of a story. So you changed your number one because you were leaning a different way the other day. Yes,
I did. Yes, I did. Once I got back into the mindset of all basketball movies, I was like, there's no way this one cannot be number one.
It's Jesus from Coney Island.
That's right.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. He got game. It has to be the number one all-time basketball movie. First off, it follows the traditional storyline of what I found in my number one baseball movie. It's a story about a sports and a father-son relationship based around sports at its very core. But it also takes you into some of what Blue Chip did in a different way in the seedy underworld of college recruiting. Right. The trips to Big State U with the girls and the parties and the over the done, recruiting pitches and videos where he walks into the stadium and they do the fake intro and, meeting with all these coaches and the behind the scenes meeting with the agent and the free gift and this isn't happening. And then, hey, we'll let your father out a little early out of prison if you sign with, our school, And
the twist at the end helps the movie, too. I don't want to give it away, so
if you haven't seen this movie yet,
okay, well,
there are no spoiler alerts on 20-year-old movies, okay?
Okay, he didn't technically sign your document, even though he signed the document.
Right, so you don't get your early lease. But again, at that point, the relationship was paired. He and now, it was a relationship that had long been severed. That again, he fixed the relationship between father and his son through sports and understanding. And so, hey, there you go. Plus, you got Ray Allen and Denzel Washington. Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Oh, okay. I mean, you said Ray Allen. I'm like, I don't remember calling him being in the movie.
Some people don't know, but you got to let them know. I mean, it's a great movie. So again, you top 10 list is wrong. This is nothing new. This is par for the course for Todd to be wrong.
Relatively 7 out of 10 the same. We just have different orders, which our preferences are. So mine's not wrong.
No. See, because there's 3 out of 10 that are different, and those are wrong. And actually, it's 6 out of 10. Because all 4 of my honorable mentions made your list.
Oh, okay. You're right.
So, you were wrong.
The top 4 pretty much...
No, not the same. Top 3.
Yeah. Well, it's my top 4 because I had Carter at 4 and Space Jam at 3. I could have reversed them, but
they should have.
It's got Michael in it, so it gets a higher, and I could still throw in at everyone that LeBron James is still trying to follow in his footsteps by remaking that movie.
I don't know why anybody would try to remake that movie. It was done as good as it can be done the first time. You're not going to find, even the non-Michael Jordan basketball players, you will not find a better cast.
Right.
You're not going to have a Spud Webb and Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing and Sean Bradley.
Well, I guess I have a follow-up question to this, too, then. Do the younger kids even know Bugs Bunny? Is that still a cartoon they watch?
I'm going to guess so. I mean, you got to think Bugs Bunny was really old by the time we watched it.
True.
They weren't making new episodes when we watched it. We might think they were. Things like that and the Flintstones had long been off the air.
Right.
New episodes. Anyways, we just saw reruns of reruns of reruns. So I know they make more new cartoons now than they did when we were younger, but right. I still have to imagine classics are the classics.
And if you're young, you don't know who Bugs Bunny is, go shoot yourself.
We're not one to advocate for anybody to commit suicide.
I didn't say kill yourself. I said shoot yourself.
Nor do we advocate for any form of self-harm on the Off Base Sports podcast. The opinions of Todd are those of Todd and Todd himself. Please seek out Todd and hold him responsible for anybody who might follow up on his opinions. So that carries us through our top 10 list segment.
Yep.
I think we'll take a little detour here. We had a couple of good playoff games yesterday. This is being recorded on Sunday, January the 6th?
Yes.
All right. I don't have my watch on, so I'm kind of counting on my memory to tell me what day it is, which is really hard when you work retail and all of that. You don't necessarily keep as good a track of days as you should. But anyways, so we I use good loosely because the Colts Texans game was pretty much over at halftime. By the time that was 21-0 and the Texans weren't moving the ball, that was pretty much over. I know they did a better job holding the Colts offense in check in the second half, but the Colts defense is probably the least talked about aspect of why they might be a legitimate contender to run through the playoffs. Because we get to see something next week that is my favorite thing in all of sports to watch every year in the playoffs. There is this weird phenomenon that happens in the NFL playoffs more often than any other sports phenomenon that is just unexplainable. Playoff Andy Reid. It is the most mind-boggling thing to see. This guy is probably the greatest regular season coach in the history of the NFL. Bar none. He has done it with different quarterbacks, different teams, different defenses. He can take any team and win a division and get a bye. And then he gets to the playoffs, and suddenly he doesn't know how to call an offense. He doesn't know how to use a timeout. He doesn't use his challenges right. He mismanages the clock in the worst way possible. I can't wait to see if playoff Andy Reid can screw up Pat Mahomes.
Well, did he not learn from his mentor on that one? If I'm not mistaken, he was on Green Bay staff, and outside of the challenges, because there were no challenges at that time.
I mean, even McCarthy won a Super Bowl. I mean,
even broken clocks right twice a day.
Mainly because the Steelers stopped running the ball in the second half after Rashad Mendenhall had one fumble. But that's for another day, another time. That and a pass interference call not called on Mike Wallace on fourth down on the last drive. But that's neither here nor there. And bygone era. But no, playoff Andy Reid is such an interesting phenomenon. I mean, it's what gives me more hope than anything. A, that Colts defense is playing really well, but B, playoff Andy Reid is just an oddly strange phenomenon that I can't count on them to win. So I really can pencil the Colts in for the AFC Championship game. And not knowing who's going to win today, you have the option offense high school team that is Baltimore, and the phenomenon of I would think the Chargers will win, because it's just like the triple option in college. Once you see it 2 or 3 times, suddenly you get better against it. Guess what? The Chargers played them 3 weeks ago in the same awful. So they've already seen this offense and got to prep for it once. And they get Melvin Gordon back that they didn't have last time, and it was a close game. Plus, the Chargers are used to playing road games.
Well, the only thing I said, the Chargers normally fall apart at one point during the year, and they have not fallen apart yet this year.
No, I mean,
they're due.
It may be next week or the week after. I think. I just think the Chargers defense is going to be able to keep that gimmick offense in check. I think because they're going to have seen it for a second time.
I think Hardball has a few gimmick plays. You'll see both Jackson and Flacco in the lineup at the same time to take advantage of said that. If they hit on those plays, I think Baltimore wins.
It could be. I don't really care. But yeah, I think that gimmick offense runs its course. And I think you see John Harbaugh try to position himself for a trade out of there this year. Then the other game we had yesterday, though, was Dallas and Seattle. That was a really good game. And one of those all-time great sneaky backwards covers, by the way. If you live in this day and age and you don't think NFL coaches pay attention to the spread, I have the deed to the Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. Because there is zero reason for Pete Carroll to go for 2 there at that point in the game.
Yeah, there was.
Oh yeah, if they recover the onside kick and kick the field goal, then they win the game instead of go to overtime.
No, they didn't have a field goal kicker. Seabass tore his hamstring in the first half.
They had another kicker.
He was drop kicking the ball and was missing, and he couldn't. I'm just saying. I watched him coming halftime. I would have had a better chance going kicking the ball through the uprights, and he had a better chance.
Yeah. Okay.
I know I'm going to an extreme point, but watching that man kick during halftime from the highlights.
I was just saying, I didn't watch the highlights, but again, I would say
he almost missed the stadium on the one kick.
Okay, that's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, usually most NFL punters were at one point place kickers too, because usually their legs are strong enough that they at least kicked in high school or some in college. Not all, but most. You know, you don't specialize that early typically on special teams to at least college, sometimes not to the NFL. So most can kick. I think Now, how often does he practice it? Not often enough, obviously.
Well, he said at the end of it that if they were going to kick a field goal, if they got the onside to kick the field goal, he was drop kicking the field goal because he could not do it with the guy holding the ball like that.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting to see at the end of the game.
It would have been an amazing experience, but I'm still calling it this amazing backward sneaky cover. I'm sorry. I think they could have made an extra point there.
I'm just saying he has a legitimate argument for the 2-point conversion because his kicker can't kick.
I think he had 2.5 points on the spread for his own team. It's like, if I'm not winning this game, I'm at least winning the bet. But Dak Prescott played really well, which hasn't always been the case the second half of the season. And if he does that again next week, now he puts Dallas in a really tricky spot. I mean, they are going to absolutely have to franchise him this offseason no matter what. And the question is, do you want to have to play the game?
That's right. He was not a first-round quarterback.
He was not. He was a third-round guy, so his contract's up.
Year, yeah.
So he's getting franchised for sure. And then the question gets to be, do you work at a long-time deal or play him through the franchise and then have to risk paying him a second franchise tag?
You mean Kirk Cousin it?
Oh, everybody should see by now that's not the route to go. Like, first off, it's tough. I think we're going to see a change in the way quarterbacks get paid very soon in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to.
Because when you're paying somebody like Kirk Cousins $28 million, you see what happens is they can't pay an offensive line to protect him. You can't protect your quarterback. You're not in the game. But it got to be this thing where if you have a franchise guy, you have to pay him to keep him. And it sounds great, but if you're paying a guy a sixth of the salary cap or a fifth of the salary, 20% of the salary cap, hard to fill those other 52 spots around them with quality players.
Correct, yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting scenario, to say the least.
Well, that was the joke that everybody keeps making. The highest paid quarterbacks are sitting at home while you got, I think, 6 people under the rookie contract in there, they said.
No, I was going to say, let's do the math. Mahomes.
Yep.
Jackson.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Dak Prescott.
Yep. Mitch
Trubisky. Not Foles. Foles is not under a rookie contract.
Not Foles. Golf. I'm sorry.
Jared Goff. Yep. There you go. There's your 6.
And I mean, and to be honest,
so I have
Eagles are under a rookie contract with the actual starting quarterback.
Well, and if you look at Nick Foles, he's not making starter money either.
Yeah. So they have 2 quarterbacks that aren't making what the other quarterbacks are making.
They got 2 quarterbacks combined that ain't making what the other 6.
Yeah.
One of the other 6 are making. No, so I mean, there's obviously something to be said about it. And you've seen, even though Brady hasn't taken a lot less, people always make a big deal about how much less. If you really look at it, he hasn't taken a lot less money than he could have gotten in the open market. So, but again, even less helps your team.
Yeah, and yes, he can do that because his wife makes twice as much a year than he does.
Right. Well, but her earning years are waning. I mean, she'll still make money, but not what she was making. You're not going to make the.
Oh, I mean, I get that, but it does.
But again, they've got generational wealth already.
Yeah, when you make $75 million between the 2 of you in a year, you know what? I can take 20 instead of 25.
Right. But yeah, I think you're going to see a push down from them $30 million numbers closer to back to the $20 million. If you can get back to that $20 million number, A, they're still making phenomenal money.
Yeah.
And B, with the cap going up to 160, 180-ish range over the next few years, that's a manageable number if you're down to a ninth of it. Because you're always going to have some guys on rookie contracts that you need to hit. That's just in any salary cap sport, you're going to have to hit on your draft picks. And you're going to have to hit on undrafted guys or late round guys. It's what the best teams do, is they don't just hit at the top, but they hit on their value picks.
Right.
So, yeah, I enjoyed watching some of the highlights of those games. I didn't really watch either of them all that much. But, no.
And if you did look at his Facebook page where he went on the rant that he didn't care what was going to happen in the playoffs, fuck the playoffs,
I mean,
he was just upset at that time because he was still going to keep an eye out on the playoffs.
I mean, I host a sports podcast. I do have to at least pay a little bit of attention, but I can't offer you sophisticated analysis because I did not watch any of those games. So they did not get a ratings bump from me at all. So, suck it!
I will say, the Colts head coach, was it Frank Reich?
What? Frank Reich, the comeback man? Come on. Greatest comeback in playoff history. Frank Reich, and you're having to search for his name and think, but Is that who that is? Is that the guy who came back from 31-3 down to beat the Houston Oilers?
I know who it was.
To keep the Buffalo Bills 4 Super Bowls in a row run going? Yeah, that's who it is.
And as you know, I have trouble with people's names, so Frank Wright, he makes his introductory press conference really funny now. When he made the comment about, I've always been great as the backup plan.
I think he likes that underdog mentality. So I think that'll serve them well again going into next week. You got a guy like Darius Leonard, who was a second-round pick because he came from a small school because he wasn't a qualifier, who then led the NFL in tackles and didn't make the Pro Bowl, but his first team All-Pro as a rookie. There's problems with the Pro Bowl selection process. So I think they're going to do well in that underdog. They're going to relish that underdog role all the way through. And it's not unprecedented, again, for a team to win 3 road playoff games to get to the Super Bowl.
And even though I'm going to do this not being a Notre Dame fan, I have to give Quentin Nelson, that boy. They showed the highlights. He was standing over his guy about just stay on the ground. Don't embarrass yourself anymore.
He's a bad man. That was a smart pick. But speaking of the Colts and smart picks, did you see what the football gift gods have given us as a gift? They've given us a gift. Manna from the heaven. Ryan Grigson is going to be part of the Oakland/LA / possibly London Raiders front office starting next year. Yes, there is a God. And
what position is he going to have?
He's got to be some assistant to Mike Mayock, I'm guessing. But
are they just giving titles? Because everybody knows who the GM of that team is.
I was going to say, that basically, yeah.
Okay.
That's all I could think of. But the fact that Ryan Grigson got another job in the NFL is proof that the NFL has no meritocracy. It's just, hey, I know him, I'm going to hire him. It proves what we've known for a long time. There's no real system to hiring and firing people there. They just hire and fire their buddies. So that gets us through that. I think the other news of note in the football world, obviously this week, is AB trying to talk his way out of Pittsburgh. Hey, San Francisco, you want him? Number 2 pick seems awful nice. I'll let you have him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll trade you number 2. He might trade you my number 34.
It's going to cost you number 2. Again, here is what you got to remember. Amari Cooper got a 1. Now it may not be a high 1, but It's a 1. What in that scenario is AB worth?
Under control for 3 years.
At $12 million per year to your cap, because you don't have to eat the prorated bonus either. So he has a very manageable cap number.
The only caveat I'd put to that is, does he stay happy with that contract, or was he a part of this trade? He demands more money. If he's happy, you're right. Top 10 pick, I'm with you. However, if he says, I want it traded, oh, by the way, when you trade for me, we want to reevaluate my contract for the next 3 years because I'm not happy about it, then that starts bringing that contract down.
So far, it doesn't seem that any of this has anything to do with contract. It has to do with his need to be the biggest star, and he's not.
Okay.
That's really what it seems like. He's just being a prima donna.
Well, but that's how it starts. But then then the agent goes, hey, while you're doing this, don't forget to ask for more money.
At that point, he's not going to get traded for. I mean, that's going to be the problem is, he just signed an extension 2 years ago.
Oh, that's
2017.
Okay.
So that's, to me, the funny part is when he goes on Twitter, well, system where you have no leverage. Nobody made you sign that contract extension when you had 1 year left on your deal. You could have played it out. Could have been playing under. And the key is, at that point, you and Lev Bell would have both been hitting the expired contracts at the same time this year. Last offseason. Mm-hmm. They can only franchise one of you. They can transition tag the other.
Right.
Where they can match, but there's no pick compensation. So your agent misplayed your situation. If you were unhappy, then you should have let your agent know, I'm not taking this money right now. I'll risk getting franchise tagged. And then we'll go from there.
Interesting. I took that tweet a different way. I thought he was talking about the offensive system he's in, not that the NFL system that he had no leverage to get the money he thought he deserved. I thought he was talking just about the system that the Steelers are running.
No, I think he's talking about the system that has him under contract, bound to a team. Because, again, a lot of these players will make the point, well, if the team wants out of it, there's no, then they can get out of it. There's no guarantee. Fair enough, but they also have to then eat the signing bonus they paid you. Like, to the tune of what would be $21 million worth of dead money this year you got paid.
He does have leverage. I've seen this happen before. Ask Detroit.
Well, no, but see, yeah, he's not going to retire. Again, for him, it's not a money thing.
Right.
It is not not playing for a contender thing because he's playing for a contender. For him, it is he wants to be the star, and you can't be the star if you retire. And the worst part is, it has been pointed out by a lot of guys over the years on sports talk radio, just random guys even. If you play for the Steelers, and there's a handful of other organizations that are similar to this, and you play for them, and you do things the right way, and you retire the right way, and you are going to be set for your life after football. Because the family will take care of you. You will be taken care of. You look at guys like Jerome Bettis and Troy Polamalu, and for God's sakes, Terry Bradshaw still gets to be on TV every week. It's only because he was a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. He is not good on TV.
Oh, God.
He offers no insider knowledge. He comes off as the curmudgeon old guy. He's bad all the way around.
Wait, he comes out the curmudgeon old guy and Howie Long sing next to him.
Correct. That's how bad he is. I mean, he's not Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, Joe, whatever his name is on the Monday Night Football booth bad. But that's another story for another day. But again, you can go through the list of Steelers guys who've retired and are well taken care of in their life after football, no matter what they're doing, whether they want to be in the limelight or not. And it happens for other organizations. Jerry Rice and Joe Montana handled their exits from San Francisco gracefully. Guess what? Now, granted, they're two of the best to ever do it, so they were always going to have that. But, they've done well.
My team's one of them. Hey, she takes care of her guys.
She does. You can't.
I think that's why I no longer have Jackass and Jackass as head coach and GM, because she might have stepped away for a little bit and said, "What the hell is happening here?"
No, I would agree. I mean, again, there are these teams, and then when you start to become a mouth, you look at the Terrell Owens lifestyle right now. Does he seem to be embraced by the NFL community at all?
He did get into the Hall of Fame finally.
Well, but you're going to get into the Hall of Fame if you're a great player. But is he a guy who's making money off the NFL or anything related to it?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. He's not embraced by the community at all. Like, great, you made extra money in your playing career and you controlled your fate, but your life after football, which is much more of your life than your life in football, is now isolated and miserable and not making you the kind of money you could be.
All I'm going to say, if you want to be Deion Sanders, talk to Deion Sanders. Because the one thing he never did was insult football. He had fun, but he did not insult football.
He didn't insult football. He didn't. He more than anybody played out his contracts and got himself to free agency every chance he could. But he never talked his way out of a contract.
Nope.
Never talked his way out of a city. He upheld his end of his bargains too. Again, hey, AB, you want to be a free agent? Get back that signing bonus. And you can be a free agent. But otherwise, you took $20-some million in upfront cash, and you're still being paid handsomely per season. It's on you, buddy.
Okay.
Like you made those decisions. Your agent gave you bad advice if you weren't happy where you were. And to be clear, Ben Roethlisberger ain't no chore. It ain't no treat. You knew that 2 years ago.
Right.
He hasn't changed. He's still just as much a prima donna as you are. But guess what? When you're a 2-time Super Bowl winning, Hall of Fame bound quarterback, the franchise is going to pick that guy every time over the wide receiver. You're more replaceable. Proof by, we have Juju Smith-Schuster, who was taken over from Artavius Bryant, who you took over for Mike Wallace, who took over for Plexico, who took over for Hines Ward. We can keep going backwards on all these guys who have been number ones for the Steelers at some point in the not too recent past.
When the hell did Pittsburgh become wide receiver U?
It's a really good question. And we already have Washington who's developing there, and we'll have more picks to draft more wide receivers. Like, wide receivers are not special. Sorry. You're great. You're one of the best ever to do it, but you're not special. You're not going to get star quarterback treatment no matter where you go, AB.
I question the special, because if he separates from Ben Roethlisberger, let me see him do it with a different quarterback first before we put in the special carry. He's a good player right now.
But I just
want to see him do it with a different quarterback.
Fair enough. Because there is the point made that Ben Roethlisberger does throw one of the best deep balls in the league. He also does an amazing job extending plays and looking downfield to throw, not run, when he does so. So he creates opportunities that necessarily wouldn't be there in more structured systems for wide receivers. There's a reason why you have over 100 catches, 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns almost every season you play, because he's going to create more time for you to get open.
Right.
Now, granted, AB does a good job of getting open on his own.
Well, when I just hear the great wide receivers, the first two that came to mind were Jerry Rice and Tim Brown. Those you could put with any quarterback out there, and they would have got their numbers.
I mean, and that's, wide receiver is a totally dependent position anyways. Yeah. You can't create opportunity on your own. You alienate your quarterback, you may see the ball less. This is life. You got to think about that. That's why you need to have your Terrell Owens moment. That's my quarterback. You talking about there.
I know I'm stretching this one because I can't quite remember. I do believe Jerry Rice played with Jamarcus Russell and still got numbers.
Yeah, well, not the kind of numbers you'd expect.
But he was also 40-some-odd years old.
Right.
So, I mean, he was coming down because he's at age, but he did play. His quarterback was Jamarcus Russell.
Right. No, point taken. Yeah. But I think AB would get numbers wherever he goes. I'm not going to say he's a product of a system. I'm not going to go there. I don't think that's the case. I just seen
some of the other ones fall off once they left Pittsburgh too. So
but there are just Martavius Bryant was a guy who needed the deep ball, and then just his personal life is a mess.
Right.
Which is why the Steelers were more than happy to trade him when they were offered a third-round pick. So I still to this day can't believe anybody offered a third-round pick for him, knowing. And this is the problem Lev Bell is going to face going into this offseason. He's one failed test away from a year-long suspension as well.
Right.
And all of these GMs know it. And they know he's a guy who doesn't put football first now. So why are they going to trust you? Once you pop, you're in that substance abuse program. And he's in it for probably ever now because he's popped multiple times. Yeah. One more is a full year. They're not canning you $17 million and a ton of signing bonus and taking that chance. I think you overplayed your hand. Like, reading Bleacher Report, and they're one free agent to avoid, like 4 different teams, they mentioned him as the one to avoid for them because you don't know. That Steelers offensive line is so good. James Conner, until he got hurt, was one of the top rushers. And then Jalen Samuels in his second game rushes for 130 yards against the Patriots. So that line's a large product of that success. Your style does not trend well to a team that doesn't have a great offensive line.
I don't know. I think the NFL is going to push him to be signed by somebody because during the game yesterday, and I kind of bit pieces of it, they kept talking about how Houston's going to make a big play for Bell. His name kept being brought up during that conversation, which he should have nothing to do with the game because he's not there. He's not playing.
I think the announcers keep talking about him because they think everybody's going to sign him. I'm going to remind you of something that tells you he's not going to be signed fast. He's not going to be signed for the big dollars. Colin Kaepernick. This league has mastered the unofficial art of collusion. Problem is, Colin Kaepernick, it's going to cost him a lot of money.
Right.
Because it's become blatantly obvious that, you may not have put out an email or a press release saying nobody signed him. But when Nathan Peterman keeps getting re-signed in the NFL and other such Mark Sanchez, Blaine Gabbert, Josh Johnson, who was terrible when he left and hadn't played in 7 years, gets a shot before, you've blown your cover. You're not even good at it right now. Sorry, you fucked up.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the safety for Carolina, Eric Reed.
Yeah. You mean getting drug tested every week? Yeah.
I've been in the league 10 weeks. I've been drug tested 9.
7 out of 10. But still, it was ridiculous. It was blatantly obvious. It's you're not good. So I don't expect... First off, Houston doesn't have money. I don't know why anybody would say that. Houston's first 2 priority... They've got 2 big people they have to re-sign on defense this year. So they ain't got money for left bell. I don't know who's thinking it.
Who's the second one? I know Clowney's one.
And Honey Badger. It was only a 1-year deal.
Okay.
To go there. He wanted to play a year, be healthy, rebound his value, and then get a contract. Guess what? He rebounded the value, got healthy, and he's going to get paid.
Okay.
So they ain't got no money. I hate when announcers start talking like that. The money's not going to fall out of the sky. First off, they still got Lamar Miller. They still got offensive line problems they've got to address. Again, Le'Veon Bell is a hesitate and go runner. He's not a big play runner, by the way. James Conner in 10 games had more runs of 20-plus yards than I think Le'Veon Bell did in his last 3 seasons combined. He's a guy who does grind well and doesn't seem to lose yards very often. But to pretend he's a home run threat and this guy who's going to suddenly change your offense. I don't think he is. I think he's a really good running back. I just don't think he's another one who doesn't understand he's played in such a good offensive system, and particularly with the way they were checking down under Todd Haley and dumping underneath and using him differently. It's not going to happen everywhere you go, and you don't have that kind of offensive line everywhere you go. There are probably only 3 other teams with offensive lines that are even close to that, and 2 of them have absolutely no need for a running back. Dallas and Los Angeles Rams.
Okay.
They don't have it anywhere close to the need. The other one that's close right now that's really good, but still young and gelling is Indianapolis. And
after watching Mac yesterday,
I don't see that. They're not.
That's a lot of money to hand
Their
back.
GM's not wasting that money on him. Yeah. No. He's pretty much made it obvious every interview he could be in. He's like, look, I've got a young duo who can make plays for a fraction of the price.
So, Bell, welcome to New York. You're a Jet.
But at the end of the day, are the Jets going to spend the money there? Their offensive line is super trash.
So, but they need to get the quarterback a weapon.
But you got to protect him first.
True.
This is always my argument from a team building standpoint. You shouldn't be drafting. All these teams rush out to draft quarterbacks. Get your line right first. Protect the guy. Have a weapon or 2 in place. Running backs are in time it doesn't. That's the other problem that Lev Bell's going to run into. You missed an entire year. You didn't look in shape or, focusing on football. Here's the one thing you could say. Whenever Terrell Owens wasn't playing football, he made sure you understood he was ready to go at a moment's notice. Whether that was push-ups and sit-ups in the driveway or what. You knew he was ready to go. Lev Bell out there riding jet skis and making rap albums in Miami, and that's not an old man thing. He wants to do it in his offseason. Go nuts. Do you live your best life, but don't think that it doesn't reflect poorly on you when it comes time to make a decision to hand you $15+ million over the next 5 years with $45-50 million guaranteed. It's going to be a hard sell for a lot of these teams unless you offer them an awful lot of setback language saying if I get busted for drugs or I do this, get hurt, that then you get back this portion of your signing bonus. That might be the only chance you have. And if you sign that, your agent needs to be fired ASAP. Because then you wasted $14.5 million an entire year of your career for nothing. He'd have to almost get $100 million this year to actually make that money back.
True.
So I think at the end of my Steelers ranty news, I think we can got another couple weeks before any big UFC events. We'll have UFC in Brooklyn coming up. So I think that'll lead us right into headlines.
All right. Headlines. I'm going to let you know we have 3 sports-related and 2 non-sports-related.
Let's do the 3 sports ones all together. First.
Okay. First sports one. Jimmy Butler and now causing headaches in Philadelphia about his role in the offense.
No, that's not the way I read it when I saw most of the articles about this. It's not necessarily about his role in the offense per se. First off, you want to be a third part of 3 stars, there's going to be less touches to go around, and that's on him. But 2, it's been with, again, the way that the coach is handling the young players around him. Shocker. Philly couldn't see that coming after he struggled with the way that the coach coddled other young players in Minnesota. If you've got a coach...
Thibodeau coddled who?
Thibodeau coddled Towns and Wiggins by, according to Butler anyways.
Oh, okay.
Again, he's looking through his own lens, so...
I just don't see Thibodeau being a person to coddle anybody.
Well, maybe he changed after he left Chicago and thought maybe this is my way to keep this sweet gig for at least a couple years. So shocker, he not happy with that. You knew what you were signing up for, Philly. He's a guy who's probably better off going to a mediocre team, putting them into the playoff hunt, being the guy. That's what he wants to be anyways.
Okay.
And then live out the rest of his basketball life happy. But if he wants to be a number 3 guy somewhere, he's going to struggle because that's what he is in Philadelphia. I love Jimmy Butler, but he loves the spotlight too.
Okay.
Once he got it, he seemed to really grow accustomed to it. And not a shocking development, to say the least.
Okay, well, I think that's going to be a long rest of this year because I don't know I don't think they can trade him before the end of the year or before
I mean, they can trade him before the deadline, but you're just not going to get anything back after you gave up Sarich and Covington. And
I wasn't sure the time frame of when they traded for him and how much time you had to hold the person before you could trade him again.
45 days or 60 days, but either way, they had plenty of time.
Okay.
All
right. Theo Epstein, in his interview, says the luxury tax has no consequences on what he does this offseason. So if they do not get a big star, do not blame the luxury tax. Blame him.
I think he's being sent out there to be told, hey, we're taking a little heat for this luxury tax thing. Go do a press appearance and tell them it's not us the issue. It's everything else. Because it's not just the Bryce Harper thing. It's the bullpen arms they're not in on. It's the signing the most bargain bin utility guys up the middle when you know you need a starting shortstop or starting second baseman to start the season. It's the decision to hang on to Addison Russell when everything in the book says this guy doesn't belong in MLB right now. You know, why pay him even a prorated amount of almost $5 million?
Right.
You know, so no, he's just doing his boss's bidding. Everybody has a boss. He has a boss. His boss sent him out there to say, hey, make this clear. This isn't it. When in reality, everybody in the world knows.
So does your opinion change if Harper signs?
Depends.
Or does the backlash just from the owners just got too big, they just decided to open the checkbook?
Possibly, or it depends on if they find a way to dump some salary. If they dump some salary, then clearly we were all right. And even if they do sign a big name. Well,
the other part of that interview was they made a very aggressive offer to Troy Tulowitzki. They said that's what he claimed. I don't know.
The aggressive in that they were going to let him guarantee him being starting shortstop until Addison Russell came back.
Okay, it was not money aggressive.
Not necessarily. I mean, you got to remember, different players at different times in their careers are looking for different things. I think Tulowitzki is looking to prove he can be healthy and be a starting shortstop and rehab some of his value for, because relatively speaking, he could still have another 4 or 5 years in Major League Baseball. He's not super old. He's just not healthy.
And for the Yankees, he pretty much, unless he completely falls off the table, guaranteed the shortstop year all year. Well, for the Cubs, it's 70 games?
No. Not even like 45.
Was it I can't remember what his suspension was.
I couldn't remember if it was 40 or 50, but something like that. But even then, anybody convinced Addison Russell's ever going to be a good baseball player again? Are the Cubs investing all of this time and all this money into a terrible human being for him to turn out to be a terrible baseball player too? He had one decent season. I won't even call it a good season, but one decent season. And since then, they've hung on to him like he's going to eventually turn that corner and be that guy every year, or even jump from decent to good. And it hasn't happened. Instead, he's regressed from decent to bad to terrible.
And you know what part of that problem was? The people in front of him started having little troubles themselves. Rizzo had a bad start of the year.
Some of it.
Right? But he was hitting in a very nice spot. Rizzo and Bryant were always on. They had to pitch to somebody. He was the new young guy.
But he's not hitting the ball either.
Well, because he was hitting a fastball all the time. Now they're hitting with a slider and he can't hit it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to be... The Cubs, as a whole, the organization has hung on to these young guys. Like, eventually we're going to be proven right that all these draft picks hit, that we won't fall folly to what everybody else does. That first-round picks hit at about 50% of the time. No, you're not exempt from the averages, Theo.
Right.
Half of your draft picks are not going to pan out to be what you think they're going to be. But instead, you're hanging on to them instead of trading them out for proven talent or salary relief or moving on from terrible humans. Mm-hmm. No, you're latching onto them like you're a fat kid at a fat camp and it's your last Snickers bar. You're not the smartest man in the room. There's a reason you've never won back-to-back championships with the same core players. Never. You're likely to not do it with this group because you've hung on to underperforming guys hoping they turn it around and prove you right. Quit trying to be right and do what's right.
Well, he did hold on to one that turned out to be really good. And I know you always give credit to Madden for that one. Bias.
100% do. He is not a Theo Epstein guy at all. If you had to draw up, first off, it's not his draft pick.
Yes.
Second off, absolutely none of the things that Theo looks for in a ball player. So no, zero credit to that goes to Theo whatsoever.
He doesn't look. I know the hitting side. I agree. Defensively, he doesn't fit anything to Theo.
I don't think Theo looks that
Okay.
much at. Again, a lot of these mathematics sabermetrician guys look at hitting so much more than they do fielding or anything like that. And again, some of the things that Baez provides defensively are not things you can see in numbers. Like, it is eye test with him so much more over. Mm-hmm. And that is Madden being around baseball for years and saying, look, this kid is special. I've heard this sound of the bat. I have seen I have not seen this kind of tagging. I have not seen this kind of base running. This kid is special. That's where the blend between the new and the old school has to happen. You have because some people convince themselves they see special, and then the numbers tell you, like, trust me, there's nothing special here. With Baez, he's proven to be special both new and old school number wise.
Right.
So he doesn't walk as much as you'd like. Who cares if he's hitting 30 home runs and driving in 100 runs and has a weighted run created of 130-something plus?
I mean, okay, he Vladimir Guerrero, so he puts the bat in the ball and makes them make a play.
Yeah. You can tell me teams shouldn't have drafted Vlad Guerrero either because he didn't walk enough? Get out of here.
The baseball just bounced 3 times somewhere, and he still swung and hit it out of the park.
Would have been a great... both of these guys would be great cricket players, too. Telling you.
All right. Number 3. I'm actually going to surprise you to go to UFC here.
Wow.
UFC 235. John Jones will fight Anthony Smith. Is that a good fight? Because, I'm not a big UFC fan, so...
I mean, it's the fight to make.
Okay.
Is it a good fight? I doubt it.
Okay.
And that's nothing against Anthony Smith. He's going to be like Alexander Gustafsson. You could be the second or third best light heavyweight in the entire world right now. It doesn't matter. That's how different John Jones is. John Jones is just so much better than any other light heavyweight right now. He's longer. He's stronger. He's faster. He's more intelligent. He has a much higher fight IQ than any of them. His ability to adapt inside of a round. His ability to change, particularly if you fight somebody twice, his ability to change his game plan from one fight to the next, because he just downloaded all of that knowledge into his fight IQ bank. He's just like, oh, okay, this is what you want to do? All right, we're not going to do that now. He is so diverse. He can take away his best skill if it takes away your best skill, and his second best skill is still better than your first anyways.
Oh, nice.
So now your second best skill is your first skill now? You're toast. Again, Cormier made it 2 rounds the second time he fought him. Gustafsson to the third. These guys, if you were lucky enough to make a decision against them once, you do not make it the second time. It's the reason he has never been defeated in a ring. He is 23-1. His one loss is a disqualification for a 12-6 elbow. That should have been no contest at most. But he has never been defeated inside of the octagon. Period.
Oh, okay.
End of discussion. Anthony Smith has had a great year. He deserves that shot. He has earned it. It is the fight to make. He's not going to win.
Okay. I just know nothing about Anthony Smith, and when I seen the headline, I go, that's an interesting one. Let me delve into that one.
I can't wait to watch it because I want to watch John Jones fight.
Okay.
But and right now, though, it is technically dependent on Nevada licensing Jones because that one's scheduled for Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
I think so. For the MGM. So, yeah. No, I'm excited for it. Hopefully it can happen. Hopefully Las Vegas figures out whatever's going on with this long-term metabolite that seems to be hanging on into his system in a very marginal amount. Get him on the road.
All right. This one goes into the funny category because it's a political one, and you know where I go with those. Trump says government shutdown could last years.
Don't bring me Trump stuff anymore. We're not doing Trump headlines. I'm not bringing that on this podcast because the man says ridiculous shit and he doesn't believe it. So I'm not justifying it with an honest answer. It's ridiculousness. I'm not even indulging it. Nope. Next.
Okay. This one everybody wants to hear your opinion on. The R. Kelly documentary and what is coming out about R. Kelly.
First off, I haven't seen the R. Kelly documentary. Not at all.
Okay.
So I can't tell you about the documentary. Second off, if anybody pretends like this is new news about R. Kelly, you've just buried it so deep in your mind that you're pretending it's the first time. Like, there are very public, very long time existing proof of him and Aaliyah together, what, 14? When she was 14?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't new. The R. Kelly piss tape with 15-year-old girls? Like, this isn't new. None of this is new. I know that his ex-wife is probably hoping to glob on to some of the Me Too movement to bring some pressure to bear. Seems to be they don't care. And nobody still cares. Because the immediate response to this documentary has been that all of his online streaming numbers have gone through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, I guess I forgot R. Kelly made music. Let me go listen to some of that. Here's more money, R. Kelly. Also, another terrible human that we're just shelling over tons of money to. Because we don't have the discipline to not listen to the music. No, I mean, it's a story that needs to be told and needs to be reminded. I just don't see a different outcome from any of the other times it's always been told. This is not new information. Anybody who pretends they didn't know that R. Kelly liked teenage girls is fooling themselves. They knew. They just chose not to care. It is what it is. I
mean, he did the interview back in the day, and the actual interview question was, do you like teenage girls? And he started saying something. He goes, what do you mean by teenage?
Yeah, it's just like, do you mean 18, 19? Or 14, 15, 13, 14? Like, I mean, there's a difference. Not much when you were his age when he made that interview, but there's a difference. I mean, again, it's right up there with that Jerry Sandusky interview. Do you like little boys? What? No pause. You could ask me that. Do you like little boys in a sexual way? No, not at all. Not a hard answer. Shouldn't take two. There shouldn't even be a breath. You could be sitting here. Do you like little boys? No. Like, should you need to take a breath for that? No, don't need to. No. Like, do you like teenage girls? Not at my age. I don't know.
I mean, even if you didn't understand the question, the first thing should be, what? Can you say that again? Did I get that question right? There should be no big pause.
Should be a what or a no, but those are the only two acceptable answers. I fully agree. Yeah, it's not a good look. And again, anybody who act like this, new information, stop. Please. Get help. It's not. It's been out there for decades. It's old. It's tired. People chose to ignore it then. Hopefully they don't now, but
I think now it's all too late.
I think all indications are they'll still... Well, the problem is, it still seems like there are plenty of teenage girls around R. Kelly to this day. That gets to be the problem, is I don't think anybody's learned anything from it. Don't think anybody at all. None of his handlers. None of his... Anybody.
Does In the Closet have a new meaning now?
Yes, it kind of does. It really kind of does. All 967 chapters of that In the Closet. I'm in the closet now. I'm going to take a nap now. We've been doing this for 30 years now. My wife out there, but I'm taking a nap anyways. It's happened like 14 times. Stay tuned for In the Closet, volume 968.
Why does it sound like R. Kelly just sleeping in the closet?
That's what it is. It's so long, he's passed out from not having slept from being in the closet for like 14 straight days. Oh, okay. All right, so that finishes up headlines, pre-boarded headlines, because we only got 4 this week. Anything you want to talk about before we finish up?
Who do you got today's games?
Who do we got?
You got the Bears and the Eagles, and you have the Chargers in Baltimore.
Well, I already said I'm taking the Chargers over Baltimore. Right. I think they've seen the gimmick offense. I think they know how to stop the offense. And unfortunately, I know you're a Bears fan, but I believe in St. Nick. I really do. That BD energy, man, carries them a long way.
Better question is, do you believe in Nate Sutfield?
Not at all. So that's what makes me more hesitant on this game, because once Khalil Mack crushes those ribs, I've seen Nate Sudfeld play at IU. He wasn't that good at IU to be playing in the NFL. Also, more proof that Colin Kaepernick should have a job if Nate Sudfeld has an NFL job. Just saying. But no, I as long as Nick Foles is playing, I'd trust the Eagles. Beyond that, don't trust them much.
Okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, we're going to call it a show.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, we will talk to you folks next week. Remember, please subscribe, rate, review, share with your friends, your neighbors, people you don't even like. You can just post it on their Facebook walls. Like, I don't even know you, but here, listen to this stuff. Be great. Be fun. Or on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Music, Spotify, CastBox, Satchel. Just about anywhere you can find podcasts. Also, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Off Base Sports Podcast. Peace out, and talk to you guys next week.